If you translate the Dutch word zak to English, you get the word bag. Make of that whatever you want. With Zak Brown writing open letters that are obvious attacks on Red Bull, I think he suits that name. There is plenty that can be said about Christian Horner and Toto Wolff in how they go about their business, but at least they don't mess about with open letters implying all kinds of things. Their approach is much more direct. So let me break down what was said in this last episode and when he done it before. I can't wait to share my opinion on it, and I'm curious to see how you feel about things after seeing my video. I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. The recent letter. The letter of the 21st of December starts with him talking about how proud he is to be working for McLaren and how grateful he is. Nothing new there. All team bosses do this even just before they leave for another better job. He then goes on about how poor the start of the 2023 season was and that they never gave up. I always find it funny when teams talk about never giving up. Like that is something special. Haas was the slowest team and they never gave up, even in 2021. But anyway, that's not important now. Then he gives credit to Max Verstappen and the records he broke. Also, Alonso gets praise. So far, so good. Then he recaps the season, complimenting Andrea Stella, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. I'll skip the bits about the other racing series. There's an interesting bit about giving credit to the FIA and FOM for the budget cap. From a regulatory perspective, both FIA and Formula 1 also need to be given credit for the budget cap, which has introduced a fairness and a parity to the competition that didn't exist before. This has also seen a tremendous amount of value created for the teams, hence all the new investors, and an overall grid that is the most competitive it's ever been. I can't think of a single team, OEM, investor or owner that doesn't 100% support the cost cap. Okay, I'll remember that one. And now we're getting to the meat of the letter. For example, most other sports prohibit the ownership of two teams within the same league because the obvious potential damage that it does to competition. It's an unhealthy situation because it impacts decisions made both on and off the track. Whether it's a case of having access to more data, sharing components, personnel, or even having influence over a strategic vote, it's not in the spirit of the regulations. It's important to stand up for independence, competition and fairness, and I'd like to see changes in the regulations to ensure that in the future. They stop influence spreading from one team to another through strategic alliances and especially through ownership. Formula 1 should be true to its brand, and every team, except power units, should be totally independent of each other. I believe Formula 1 fans universally believe in fairness in competition and a level playing field, and would reject any actions that compromise the true spirit of competition within Formula 1. Part sharing of information, shared ownership models and strategic alliances within the sporting fabric of Formula 1 will only serve to undermine the fans' belief in fair and fierce competition. He's obviously talking about Red Bull owning two teams. Instead of calling it what it is, he talks around the matter, which I think is a bit cowardly. It's not the first time he did this either. The previous letter. It was reported in 2022 when it was clear that Red Bull was guilty of a minor breach in the cost cap regulation. Zak Brown sent the FIA a letter saying that overspending and potential procedural breaches were equal to cheating, and he wanted to see sporting penalties issued. He was quoted saying, "The overspend breach and possibly the procedural breaches constitute cheating by offering a significant advantage across technical, sporting and financial regulations." He then offered a range of heavy penalties FIA should issue for a team that breached, and that they should be sporting penalties. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the kids in my class that did this weren't very popular. Telling on someone and urging the teacher to give out big punishments didn't go down well in my days. Conspiring with other teams and the media to push the organizers into handing out huge penalties is disgusting. It's a pity because I like McLaren as a team with their history, but Zak Brown is leaving a bad taste in my mouth. Conclusion. Red Bull has had two teams in F1 for 16 years and it's never been a big issue. The strategic advantage he talks about is no different than customer teams and the engine they have in the back. This has an influence on track as well in votes for new regulations and such. Junior drivers in backmarker cars aren't much different than having a Red Bull Junior in an AlphaTauri. Zak Brown is most likely worried that their Red Bull sister team will become competitive and that it will take points away from McLaren. To me, this shows a kind of a small-mindedness of a team that wants to compete for the title. If you're confident that you want to beat the Red Bull senior team, why worry about cars 6 places down the grid? Zak Brown is trying very hard to be one of the main characters in the Formula 1 show. Maybe he wasn't happy with the lack of screen time in DTS. I don't know. All I know is that he won't influence the FIA as they do their own thing, and all he's accomplishing is more toxicity on social media as that certain group on Twitter has their hashtags ready. Zak Brown should focus on his own team, so he can keep his talent in his team, and maybe they can start the season a bit better than the last 2 seasons. In my opinion, Zak Brown isn't doing himself any favors by writing these sneaky letters pointing fingers at other teams. It's not like McLaren has the cleanest history themselves. So, my rant is over. Shout at me in the comments. Subscribe. Take care now. Doei doei. A special thanks to my channel members. Your help is much appreciated. If you want to support this channel too, click the link down below.